Okay, I'd like to talk to you about MBTI and personality and my take on it. So, I was certified with MBTI a few years ago, a couple of years ago, not a few years ago, a couple of years ago. And it was a good class. We were basically, I'm a certified MBTI practitioner, which basically means I can properly administer the instruments that they have so that somebody can identify themselves as a particular type, like an ESFP or an INTJ or an INTP. So that's what I got certified in and became a practitioner of. But I've studied a lot more than that. I've not been limited to the MBTI because really what it comes down to is really studying people, really studying what and how people think, how they think, not really what they think, but how they think. Um, and so one of the things I've learned is that the MBTI is kind of like almost like a brand, very much like a brand actually. Google is a brand. When you say Google has been so well branded and entrenched into our thinking that you Google something, you Google uh, Google this word or Google that thing. Basically, it's an internet search, right? It's an internet search. Xerox, similar. It's really, you're making a photocopy. You're not Xeroxing something. Photoshopped. Adobe Photoshop is a really powerful photo editing software. And so we say it's been photoshopped, but really the photo's been edited. So MBTI is really looking for that brand dominance in studying people. So at this conference, they've attracted Apple. So there's two guys from Apple there, and it's the most powerful company in the world as far as the monetary power, their buying power, and the largest company in the world, the largest Navy in the world, or military in the world, the U.S. Navy, and actually I don't know if they're the U.S. the most powerful, but the Navy was there, and the Army was there, and people representing them, and they're studying personality, not just personality, but they're studying a system of understanding people's thinking. So MBTI is like Google or Xerox or Photoshop. It's a way of they're branding something, but it's not the actual thing. MBTI is Myers-Briggs. It's a mother-daughter team type, so a particular type of person. Indicator, so the way the person indicates how they are. MBTI relies heavily on somebody who has not studied themselves. They're relying heavily upon the person to know themselves well when they take these tools, these instruments. So that's where I have access to MBTI's instruments, and if you'd like me to, I can administer those. The one that I like a lot from them it costs $60, much at my cost. So it'd be like $120 for my services. I would buy that, so $180. If you'd like to have MBTI give you your type now, and I could do that as a practitioner for them. But I like to think that I've studied a lot more than that and can offer more than that. So you be the judge, and let's keep going. So MBTI is a brand. They're carefully observing people. So we're going to move this away for now. We're just going to look at this part of it the same way we might get rid of Google, right? We're talking about internet searches. We can get rid of Google. We're talking about internet searches. Well, here we're going to talk about carefully observing people. And there's two main focuses that I would agree with MBTI or many other people studying personality. At least there's two main focuses that I've put my time and energy into, which is somebody's judgment or their wisdom, and what they know or how they want to know things or how they desire to understand, to gather information, which is knowing. So you have to know something and you have to have wisdom or judgment. Here's a good little, uh, funny little thing that helps you remember. Wisdom is knowing that tomato is a fruit. I said that wrong, right? Knowledge is knowing that wisdom is a fruit. And wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. So you don't put a tomato, right, which is a fruit, in a fruit salad with your apples and bananas and oranges. It'd mess it up. So, at least I wouldn't. So when we're carefully observing people, there's an order. People don't equally, and maybe you can imagine this. People don't equally and with even-handedness use their thinking, their values, their sensing, and their intuition all even-handedly. They find it easier and efficient to rely on their values or their thinking or their sensing or their intuition. And so what MBTI has offered is a formula. This is key. This is something I really want you to understand. It's important that you understand it, is that these are not labels. I'd love it if you were sitting in your chair, wherever you are, and said, these are not labels. If you know that MBTI's letter dichotomies are not labels, that would be a very good thing, but they are formulas. They are formulas to figure out something. And it's not figuring out, oh, Bob is like Jim and Sally's like Sam, right? These are formulas. It's so important that you understand this. And that's really what I offer as one of my skill sets, is to be able to help you break down what this formula means and how you can apply it in your company, in your church, in your family, in your marriage, and breaking it down kind of along these lines. So this formula helps you understand somebody's order of usage of these different functions, which is basically carefully observing. So I think that might be where we want to stop here. I'd like to go in my next video, or a video coming up soon, may already be up, is really showing how this formula translates into this area. And that's going to be a little bit longer video. So to sum up, recognizing that MBTI helps people to understand themselves, but relies heavily on the person knowing themselves. I'll speak to that a little bit more. And here's why I have a challenge with it, is that if you were to ask somebody why they do something, they often don't know deeply why they do it. They might know circumstantially from a nurture standpoint why they do something, but from a nature standpoint, it takes a lot of work and energy to reflect upon yourself about what type of person am I, and people often don't give it that much time and energy, at least as I've observed. And but when you find people who have observed it, then there's another level of when they take these instruments or take a test or take something to try to understand themselves, to be very careful and objective that they don't answer the questions the way they want to be or they're trying to be, but rather they answer them the way they are. That can throw off the test if you're relying heavily on that person to be the one who says, "Oh, I'm an INTJ." My approach is that somebody is a particular type, whether they say that they are or not, whether they observe they are or not. So this would be where I have to be careful as a practitioner of MBTI. If somebody's asking me to give them an assessment based on MBTI, I would have to be careful not to interject my own point of view. So, and I can do that, but we'd have to be explicit in it that we want to have just MBTI give their assessment. We can do that. But I think there's a lot more to understanding a person and helping somebody see objectively how they process these different functions. And anyways, I'm going to stop there, I guess, and we'll get into the next video how these functions, these are not labels, but they're formulas to figuring out how this is being used. All right? Thank you for watching.